All right, we're back, and we're in the lobby for Honor Grounds. It's going to be Snute versus MaNa as soon as they're ready to go. Quick note, because it was asked earlier, sorry, and I didn't get to answer because we hopped into a game. I guess if I didn't make it very clear when I said it before, the prize pool for today's Bit Boss, the Funko Pop Kerrigan toy, that is signed by both myself and Zombie Grub. I got her to sign a bunch of stuff while she was here, so we'd have it for future giveaways. So, yeah, that is signed by both of us. Oh, Keen killed TLO, so the top half of the bracket truly is the dead meme, the dead Team Liquid Dream.
Dead Team Liquid Dream.
This is the only Team Liquid match.
Oh well.
Thank you, by the way, to Clips31 for the 6-month resub just now. Glad you guys have been able to cast so many things recently. Yeah, I'm like jaded on that. I'm really glad we have actually got stable work. That's great. There's no complaining about that. But I haven't really tired since we got back from from Ting, and I feel like I haven't quite recovered.
The last year and a half.
Yeah, I've been tired for 2 years, guys.
Depressing. No. Well, certainly with the Alima League thing going on, like, I mean, I was super tired too because I had to wake up and then do like a bunch of traveling, right? But like, at least, I don't know. I think it's different tired when you cast something and you do something else, to be honest. And I guess only casters would maybe agree with me.
I had the added bonus of walking around the city trying to get my social insurance number back so that I could use that to get my bank account unlocked, to use that to get some money to pay for the rent. So
that's true too.
Yesterday was a lot of fun. I actually downloaded Pokemon Go because I knew I would be walking around for like 5 hours.
Oh yeah, I didn't get to tell my dude at the airport story. It's actually not that funny, but it was a little bit of a headache.
I'll cut you off real quick. I am glad to hear the story, but let's get the intros out of the way first. So, kicking off the very first semifinals for the Corsair Cup Season 4 Grand Finals. Season 3 Grand Finals. Yeah, I almost had it. It is going to be none other than Team Liquid's Snute.
In the top right, as the red Protoss, he is Liquid MaNa.
Your mic just went really quiet in the middle of that sentence. So in the top right, it is Liquid MaNa. Since I'm not sure if that went through the stream or not. I think you do need to go buy a new cord though. Like,
yeah, right?
Real bad.
I think so.
While we wait for it to try and fix things, guys, just a quick reminder that the top 4 players from this tournament do get prize money. So $50, bare minimum, is what everybody we cast going forward will walk away with. There's a $200 first place prize and an automatic seed to the next month's season finals, and of course $100 for second place. But as she's still out of chair, I'm going to assume she's fixing. Oh, hello?
Is it fixed now?
Yep.
Oh, well, okay, so I had plugged it in and been like, is it fixed now? And he still couldn't hear me.
Nope.
So, getting worse?
Yeah, I think after the cast, you need to go buy a new microphone's cord. But anyways, okay, guy at the airport story. Let's cool story bro this up. What happened?
So it's working now.
Where did he touch you? Oh, actually, that's pretty bad. Go on, sorry.
He's working now, though, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, gotcha. No, it was just like, it's really not that great of a story because he eventually got the message. It wasn't like your Mormon guy, I guess. But it's like 5 in the morning, right? I breezed through security because it's so early. I shouldn't have even gotten there that early. And I'm walking, I go do this awkward thing where I walk around the chairs because I'm like, oh shit, I should probably sit near like a cable charging station.
Yeah.
And in doing so, the guy like watches me do this, and I'm like, well, I guess he's super bored watching people in the airport. And then he like does like this nod thing, right? And I'm like, well, I'm very obviously like staring at him, so there's like be rude not to say something. So I say hi, and that was a mistake because he wants to talk to someone. At first, I thought he'd like really chill because he was like, kind of, he was succinct enough about his highs. I just thought he'd maybe like be a good conversationalist. No, not really the case. First of all, he really liked WWE, which I don't know if you know, but I don't. Not my favorite.
It doesn't matter that it's fake.
Well, yeah, that's what I hear. Like, I tried to like kind of like bond them a little bit because I was like, I follow people who do like WWE and they talk about like the storyline and all that, so I guess it can be cool in a way. And I used to play the video games when I was younger, and then we talked about video games, or he tried to. He was like video games, and I was like, yeah, that's my job. And he was like, well, that's cool. I really like fighting games, and I was like, yeah, I really like StarCraft. And then what I realized he would do for the next about 20 minutes is he would constantly interrupt me and just talk about what he likes. So that's what made it.
Actually, I don't know if this guy would be tuning in today, but in the off chance that he is, I met a guy in a store, my cool story moment here, yesterday that was looking for a new power supply. So I was like, well, you know, I'm sponsored by Corsair. I can vouch for their stuff. I'd say check it out. And I handed him my card to say, like, use our affiliate link if you want to buy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because the only reason I brought this up was I overheard this guy talking to the clerk who clearly has no idea how to fix computers. And he's talking about how his computer just lost power in the middle of a StarCraft 2 match. And I was like, my man. But apparently he didn't watch Twitch. He had no idea who I was. Never heard of BaseTradeTV before. But I was like, yeah, check us out. Pick up that Corsair power supply.
Yeah, that's a better story. Mine just kind of ended with me like, kind of like slowly getting set up to fall asleep. And I think I eventually realized what I was doing because I got first it was my neck pillow, and then I kind of started leaning back all the time, and then I put my headphones on.
Bobbing back and forth.
Anyways, that about enough time for the builds to come out here. So it is.
Yeah. MaNa doing something very classic, very Protosty, and I mean this can do a lot of damage. But the thing is, it's not like Snoot's never seen this move before. Unfortunately, though, as much as you might know how to deal with it, it's still not easy to deal with.
No, it can be kind of annoying, but he did make 10 roaches, which just had to get here, and then, well, even if they were late, the queens were already on top of it, so not too much done there, and MaNa obviously didn't even try to do it with the DTs. So third base on the way. 4 more DTs, though, and a second Warp Prism certainly makes this interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I love this, because Snute only expects this. You only ever suspect this. Yeah. So picks up, walks away, DT's come in, but Snoot's quick to do the pull, but he still gets a DT on top of the Spore Crawler.
Yeah, well, and besides, even then, like, you're going to kill a couple of drones.
There's no lair.
Maybe get out.
There's no detection. This base is going to die.
There isn't.
New Spore Crawler coming into play. Doesn't get the burrow. The drones are blocking it out.
Stupid Spore Crawler. I think he's going to get it. If he can commit to it and still save, like, 3 DTs. 2. Okay, so.
2 still worth to Archon. Let's not forget, speaking of Archons, they've still been going to town behind this. So Snoot's really been feeling the burn of this 2-pronged, weirdly dedicated attack. But the queens are going to go down too, and these DTs have done so much work.
Yeah, this is... I mean, it's very expensive. 4 more DTs, and the control necessary to make sure they don't die willy-nilly because you have a second War Prism. Like, it could maybe backfire in a couple other games, but I like...
I like this. I like this a lot.
Especially a guy like Snute isn't going to be looking for counterattack opportunities, you know? The Snute's very much a macro player, and he just thought he's perfectly safe bringing his army, all of his army, into the main base.
And that War Prism micro is really nice, too. That Archon otherwise would have died. That is something I can give MaNa props for, actually. For the longest time that we've been casting him, even the games he loses, he does it gloriously watching these, like, War Prisms dance around with the units, right?
Yeah. This is actually gonna be such a pain, you know? Like, usually you kill the one War Prism, like, finally that's over.
I just looked at the resources lost. Look at that cost efficiency.
That's pretty good.
That's 2 DTs. He's lost 2 DTs this whole game. He's almost had a flawless game so far. Almost.
Yeah, if Snute wasn't so quick on the Spore Crawler, he probably would have a flawless game so far.
So MaNa, obviously, there's questions to be raised about, like, what's the next plan? What's the follow-up to this, right? Well, the gateways come down. That's going to be production. Templar Archives are maybe the segue for different types of costs for those Archons, but I feel like charge lots and +1 and the fact that Snute had his 3rd knock down is already enough.
It's a lot of damage, you know? Like, even if the follow-up isn't there to just really, like, make it visually, you know, apparent how much damage it was done, the damage was done. But I would say that MaNa maybe messing up a little bit here is banking quite a lot. He's supply blocked. Like, his macro was not perfect beyond this, and that would have made this, I think, like, much, much scarier. Like, it's actually maybe it's just game over types of hitting here. It might still be. He's got force fields. He got Warp Prisms, plural.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a lack of reinforcement.
I love the idea of the second Warp Prism, because, you know, Terran and Zerg, you got to talk about all these arguments about, like, Nidus, Overlord drops, and Medivacs, they all cost gas. Warp Prisms are purely minerals, so I love that you can kind of weave in a second one into your build, and I feel like the extra flexibility it provides is worth so much more than 200 minerals. Especially if you're someone like MaNa who's got the skills to micro like crazy, but some of these Zealots end up eating some pretty bad Crucibles. Banding speed's nowhere close to done, so those force fields are pretty easy to land. And that Warp Prism sets up over here. And how many gateways in total? There's 10 gateways down, so warping in 4 on this side is really not a problem. Charge lots come in, the Warp Prism dies, but the army still has to stay on these front lines and can't really go back to deal with the Zealots too easily.
It's a little awkward, but these Zealots aren't even that well upgraded. In fact, they're at even upgrades right now, with the +2 on the way in Storm.
The +1 weapons though is the big deal because that 2 shots.
It does,
right?
yes. But yeah, not with Strange Remover to Blink Stalkers either. So like the upgrade really does not feel as important as in some other situations. But it is a little surprising to see that case. I would say usually +2 is like immediately started afterwards, and it does beat out the upgrades of the Zerg a little bit, which it technically still is. Snute's only just starting as +2. But these are a lot of lings.
Good
They will surround that Nexus.
It's a Stalker as well. He's been moving on for his tech behind this. You know, he's a little bit slow to get to the lair and took all that damage early on, but you know, credit's where it's due. Snute's getting some very nice counterattack in here. And MaNa, who was playing this almost flawless game, now almost caught up in resources lost.
Yep. Okay, not taking that on smart. Archon Zealot Cannons. It's not going to work out. MaNa's army still kind of surrounding and then posturing and seeing what it can do. I mean, no matter where he goes, unless he really gets up against his third base, his force fields won't be super effective. At this point, he's also looking for the storms. He gets himself into the best like concave possible for Snute, though. Army gets entirely surrounded. I don't know if he should be warping in anymore.
I kind of wish he would have used this on the new Warpins rather than on the Immortals, but either way, I think Snute's going to hold. Should be good.
Yeah. It's like a little scary because there really only are Ravagers left over, but it's just it's Charge already been using like the drones here, the Archons, or Bear without any help, and that should be it.
Yeah, I ate one of his corrosive bows there. Feels kind of bad. I just realized though, neither of these guys are using the new skins. I was kind of really hoping to see some new Immortals because, well, I don't really much care for the Ravager and the Zerg skins. The new Immortal skin actually has a really cool attack animation, and I was hoping we get to see some of that.
Yeah. Well, 8 mutas will help take care of the Warp Prism harassments. That's pretty much all it will be able to do. Although with MaNa not getting Blink, it might be able to get a couple of probes. Hive is almost done. Greater Spire could start now too.
I love this logic in chat, by the way, where it's like, if you really want the guy to leave you alone, you should just told me like pineapple pizza.
That has been Dom's response to everything, because I literally typed this story in mod chat right before I figured out how to disengage from the guy. Like, hey, help me, like, I don't want to talk to this guy anymore, what do I do? And they're like telling me like pineapple peanut butter pizza.
Well, that's the thing, I love the idea because like the logic kind of checks out, right? Like, the girl says no, and you're like, maybe she's playing hard to get. But a girl says I like pineapple on my pizza, and you're like, well, that's the
hardest no I've ever heard.
That's you choosing to say no. That's not her choosing to say no.
Oh, okay. God.
Although I guess I have a funny zombie up story for you guys.
You tell it as if it's the most awkward thing in the world, and while I can be super awkward, it was like 5 out of 10.
Look,
on the
I'm not gonna embellish it this time around, but the long story short is like while we were hanging out in the hotel lobby for Ting, the guy buys zombie up a drink, and
yeah,
it was kind of this like weird. Like there's a group of like all of us at this table, and this guy comes over. Anyways, we'll tell the story in a moment. Actually, we have a lot more warp. I thought this was gonna be minor harass, but he's dedicating and using this as a distraction because he moves in from the front simultaneously. A lot of storms on this side. Bailey's got to roll through. They do manage to connect to most of that front line, but the Templars survive with a lot of storms still locked and loaded. So the rest of these Banelings, you could probably wash off. Downside is though, how many warpers has he made this game?
5, 4.
That's another one coming to the front line. Scoops up one of the Templar to keep it alive. I like that. But charge lots and warping in more should be good to go. I mean, most of the Banelings died, and everything that MaNa has is kind of scared of those charge lots.
That's true, but they're just not quite enough for MaNa. I was banking a little bit, but I guess just was still waiting. There you go. A lot more Archons on the way. But Snute, while he doesn't have any cash, still has 4 bases. Just needs to get his drones over and then like transfer it around. And maybe he can start reaching towards those Broodlords, which still MaNa without Blink really does not have a response to. Blink Stalkers usually aren't the best either, but he warp in 7 against 2 Broodlords. Those 2 Broodlords are still gonna die. Not really the case with Archons. They usually get messed up by the Broodlords.
Zealots are very intentionally targeting the Queens, which I find interesting too. But you know, MaNa and Snute might both be on similar bases, and the income has kind of fluctuated back and forth to the point where I would maybe even call it not too different, but I am now worried we're getting to this point in the game where suddenly 4 bases, as everything mines out, becomes 2, and very quickly becomes 1.
I mean, MaNa still is in a better position here with his... Well, his mineral line here is saturated a lot longer than Snute, who just transferred drones, and he has this bank to both remake an army, but also transition 2 Broodlords, or... 4 against Broodlord, Stargate rather.
Yeah, Snute going for Brood Lords is not that surprising. It's a good choice too. I like him, but it's just hard to pull those off.
Yeah. I mean, you really have to you have to beat the Protoss to the late game air tech, I feel, and then even then, like really do a lot of damage before they get to Sky Toss, because I think that it's just gonna be better off for MaNa, especially in this game, who's had that bit of a bank and better mining. He has, I guess, fallen behind a little in upgrades. The Snute's getting 3-2, which will benefit his Broodlings.
Yeah, Adrenal Glands finished up too for these Lings, which was nice as well. This, first off, I loved seeing all the multiple warp prisms this game, and the fact that he invested in like 4 or 5, however many, I think is really cool. But unfortunately, with Mutas being out, I think it kind of shut down the idea of continuing to do more, and that's a bit of a shame because I really thought this was cool moves.
Yeah, they should have, and they did kill 1 or 2 for sure. Like, these Mutas were helpful and did their job as far as 8 Mutas go. He tries to continue harassment, but actually, like, seriously, at this point, I feel like these Lings are just too strong responding to him. And now the Corruptors are out, so it's a double no. But Tempests are on the way. Blink Stalkers can be warped in, given the opportunity. Snute is just now starting to acquire a bank, but is going to really need a 5th base that's going to be, well, very difficult to take, you know? Like, if he takes the one that MaNa did, which he does, as I talk about it, then MaNa just warps in Stalkers or sends a Tempest over, and it's the high ground versus low ground thing on the mineral lines, and there's not much you could do against that.
I'm wondering how this will go down. Like, on one side, MaNa moving towards Tempest, as you said earlier, he knew he was going to need this counter at some point, right? So that's going to work out well for the Brood Lords. I'm wondering how far this goes, though. Like, if MaNa invests too much into Tempest, suddenly Hydralisks are going to win the game. Alternatively, if these get picked off quickly and there aren't enough of them, then Brood Lords are going to win every fight. So it's a tough balance. And MaNa, I'd say, I really like this Oracle more than anything else because consistent scouting and revelations on Snute's army are going to be more valuable than anything else.
Well, certainly one of the problems with that. There you go, revelation. Is that there is still no Hydralisk Den, so like Snute is really just constrained to his tech right now, which could be Infestors as well, but he's not gotten to him.
Yeah, he got Pathogen Glands, actually.
Oh. Yeah, he did. Okay, so 5 Infestors on the way. Yeah. But now you have this, like, I really feel like the biggest problem, and this is this is totally a little bit of the balance, not gonna lie, but also just a little bit of, like, frustration in terms of design, is that the High Templar really helps with a lot of different things, right? Like, if they did mess out on Hydralisk, boom, you have Storm, which he's had for quite some time. If they get those fungals, maybe they get 1 or 2, and then the rest are feedback. Same with the Vipers, you know? Like, these High Templars, if they're protected, which, you know, MaNa has not done the greatest job this game. Like, a lot have gone down to Banelings. They're just going to be super good, super helpful. And I'm not sure Snute could beat that out, especially without the, you know, usual remax that a Zerg's supposed to have.
So that Storm was horrible to look at. Horrifying, rather.
A lot of drone practices, yeah.
So, Neural Parasite is interesting because it's not going to secure anything here. Actually, does he have burrow? No, so he can't even burrow the Infestors, right? But Neural Parasite's interesting because it would remove the Tempest from the equation, meaning that there's only the ground army that needs to be dealt with. But maybe easier said than done. Charge Lot's diving for that hive, wants to knock it down. Warp Prism's still up, so it can warp in a couple more.
It would be good. That's not gonna happen. It does draw the army out of position though, so that's 4th base gone.
That Storm was almost perfect for those drones too. Warpers in the main wasn't and still hasn't been cleaned up. Crystal Biles? Anybody? Anybody?
To take it out. Snute is now at 3-3 for his ground, by the way. Like, that's not something you usually see because the, you know, emphasis does go on the air eventually, at least, if not like on a, you know, stalling out upgrades just in general. But that is all of Snute's mining bases down. He is fortunate that his gold is literally just finishing, so he can transfer his drones over there. But he's got to get some damage done. MaNa is still going to 5 bases, mostly untouched, aside from that 1 Ling run by.
I was going to say, I really want to see these Neural Parasites come into play. MaNa immediately turns around to try and focus down the Infestors, but, you know, these Tempests, they're pretty good against other Tempests.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't have it. Like, it's funny because while the Tempest helped kill the Tempest, he barely had enough to kill the Tempest he was supposed to, which were there parasited.
Crystal Ball is pretty sick, gotta say.
They are. Huge amount of charge lots. I mean, that was a lot to do with just like the fact that MaNa was already retreating, which is going to put him in a bad position, but the High Templars were way, way ahead of the army. Charge up looking for bases that are being slapped down again, but you know, Snute's not really able to afford too many, so there's one to the north that they miss.
Yeah. Bit of a rough spot to be in. Can't quite throw away these banelings, but the thing is for MaNa, like, okay, that fight went kind of badly, and that was that surprise element. And now he knows, okay, you do have no parasite. Like, he'll know to stay back and play it a little bit more safe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'll be a little more careful. Again, with the high Templars could have instantly feedbacked some of them, and they would have gone down really quickly. This base is really a necessity for Snute. He needs the gold.
Yeah, recall goes off. Snow Python asking the real hard-hitting questions in chat, like, are there really girls playing hard to get? And here's the thing, I don't think there are actually a lot of girls who are like, I'm so valuable that, like, if I say no 3 times, then they'll ask me the 4th time because I'm Korean. Like, but I think in my experience at least, there are actually girls who don't know what they want, so to speak. So like they'll say no, but then I've had so many friends end up pursuing the relationship and it ends up working out. So I really don't know what to tell you.
I mean, well, from what I've seen, because my response is that like I hang out with like 4 other girls, okay, and like they don't do it either. But from what I've seen, like in terms of like even in, like stereotypical movies, which may or may not be true, right? They're movies. It's when the girl is like flirting with the guy but says no, or is like at least like joking with the guy and says no. If a girl just is like, no, thank you, please leave, and you continue, you know, then that's way different.
Formally request you take your leave, good sir.
I think there's different moods, but I'm no expert here, so I.
Well,
anyway.
more infestors coming out. I don't think it's a bad choice. The cool thing about this, like, Neural Parasite's great. It quickly removes units from the equation, even if temporarily. But the fungal growths will hold them in place, and the Ravagers, as we saw, even Ravagers can start killing Tempest at a point. They do clump up when moving.
That's true. Yeah.
I can't imagine MaNa leaves that opportunity too open.
Right. Stu's certainly been on the the ropes here this entire game. Like basically ever since he lost that hatchery in the early game, then the follow-up push, got his 4th base, and then just never very comfortably mining. Finally has this base, but all of his drones go to it.
And a big problem with this is like he's putting all of his army here to defend it because he knows how important it is. This is where if MaNa could get to the main again with a Warp Prism and warping some Zealots, it'd be devastating. Because Snute would not be able to respond to that.
Oh god. The Burrowed Infestors I think were a bit of a surprise. Gonna recall out of that.
Forces the recall? Okay, that's interesting. He can target fire down that carrier too if you like. He's gonna use it to help kill the Zealots in the meantime. Carrier gets released a little bit prematurely.
Run!
And he's not gonna get out of it. Not against the new speedy Corruptor zombie grub.
Well, he almost killed a Broodlord before he left.
Well, he killed a lot of Broodlords before he left. 3 total died. I think there was... Oh, actually, you know what? 2 were from the previous engagement. I take that back.
Oracles for that detection, because I think it's less about the Tempest not having their full range. It was the not seeing the Burrowed Infestors and realizing that's a problem. So that should never happen again, basically. Like, both times that Snute's made this army composition look decent against MaNa's composition has been because of the Infestors. Like, the Neural Parasite, both times, actually. And then maybe a Fungal for the Corrosive Bile, too, because that army was pretty stacked up. Forced the recall. But if he has advanced knowledge of the Infestors, like, these High Templars should really, ideally, be on it. But if, it comes down to positioning, it does come down to the surprise factor, and Snute could still take a good engagement.
Well, this is a good catch. It's just so hard to look at MaNa's bang. Like, he's sitting there on 10 gateways. So easy for him to just layer in, like, with 4,000 minerals, army after army after army. Okay, he catches one of the Archons. I love that we get to hear the sound, although it doesn't make sense as to why.
Yeah, it's like, Nerf Pass that happens so, like, infrequently anyways. Let's just give it, like, throw the observers a bone.
This is such a 2-step forward, 1-step forward back game for Snute, though. Like, he'll get to the bases, he'll expand, and then he has to... They'll die and he'll have to do it again. And the recall is, like, such a cool move out of MaNa. Like, a big respect to him to pull that off, but... Oh, Snute finally catches a break!
8 probes still is not impressive. 60 probes is 25 drones.
I actually thought he was going to get all the probes. Like, so for me, I was like, oh, this will be fine. Now the recall goes into play. Snute's, where did I go? He's everywhere! He's everywhere!
Well, now he's gonna die? Oh, those cannons didn't see that.
let's. Oh, I need to clean up chat for a sec, guys. To be perfectly clear, we're talking in terms of relationship. If you guys are gonna start discussions about like forcing yourself on women, that's a whole nother. That's a whole other problem.
Oh god, I feel like bringing it up is worse. Yes,
Well,
that is another problem.
I feel like
Ah.
I have a hard time believing people misunderstood that conversation, and I would like to ideally think people were trolling, so we tell them to stop, but...
Yeah. People also really want to figure out what would happen in that story we were telling. It's just like, guys,
Oh, yeah, sorry, I guess
first
we
of
cut
all-
that off. Summer got a drink from a guy at the bar. It was a bit weird because he didn't really follow up with anything, and he was willing to just, like,
No.
leave and go and not say...
Right. Okay, so, like, what's funny, too, is, like, a lot of the story boils down to, sure, like, the way that I did it was not the cleanest way. The cleanest way to do it, I think, the least awkward, wow, that was classy moves on me, Grub, would have been to get the drink, raise my glass, and say thanks right then and there. Because it's never happened to me before, and everyone else at the table was confused, too. What ended up happening was we discussed it for, like, 5 minutes before I was like, oh. And then by then it was like, a little too awkward to do the whole thing, right? So I waited till the guy left, and when he left, I raised my glass and said thanks for the drink, and he came over, shook my hand, and said nice to meet you, and that was it. So, there's the story.
Yeah, another big recall goes off from MaNa too, by the way. He keeps... This is going to be so costly for Snute. Like, it's sniper base and recall, sniper base and recall. And right now, Snute's kind of managing to play, like, back and forth between the bases. But his overall supply has been suffering and just hemorrhaging money this whole game.
We're talking about, like, relationships and, like, men and women dangling each other on the end of, like, rope here, but this is MaNa's game, man. Like, MaNa's like, you can totally win this, Snute. You got this. I'm letting you live.
I don't think that's necessarily what he's doing. I mean, the thing is, for MaNa, like, the possibility of taking a really bad engagement is there. Infestors are that game-changing unit that can ruin your life. Whether it's through neuroparasites, whether it's through fungal growth and coastal bowels combat. It doesn't matter. The point is, like, I don't think MaNa's teasing Snute. I think he's actually playing it safe because he has to.
He's not good enough to just barely lose these fights to dangle someone on the end of a string. Like, that would be some
This
real
lane run by
advanced
was
stuff.
fan-freaking-tastic.
Well, they are fully upgraded, so yeah, it is. But it's just like, it's not even these mass air games or battles that have been going just barely poorly enough, right? Like, he's had a recall for the 6th time or whatever. To be honest, all of MaNa's engagements have been questionable. From, you know, the first DT snipe, that was great, but then the follow-up, he lost high templars to Banelings, he got surrounded, that happened 3 or 4 more times with his ground army. His air army has been neuroparasited at the most inopportune times, and he's had a recall. Like, he's absolutely thinking, like, he probably thought he was going to win. Like, he knows Snute must not have much of a bank, but he knows that he makes one wrong committal, and Snute might win the air.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, Snute has free things in his back pocket. MaNa doesn't. Like, whether it's energy for the Infestors or Broodlings for the Broodlords. At the end of the day, one of these guys doesn't have to spend money. The other does. And MaNa, all things considered, like, he had that amazing bank. It was like 5K high, I think, at one point. That's been knocked down. And
hot,
he's actually kind of hungry for gas right now.
Yeah,
So these probes out of Snute, all right, you know, it didn't kill 60 probes, but they've been specifically cutting out MaNa's gas income, which I think is the biggest reason he can't finish this game.
Well, he really is, like, this ended up being the smartest way to play, because again, if he had committed at any point and lost the game, then he's going to be smacked himself in the head. The smartest way to play was to continue killing bases and getting a bit of a more and more leads here and there, and I think MaNa might have depleted his bank trying to get to where he is, but he has gotten to a 70 supply advantage. So a lot of that was because he lost probes. But yeah, I think this is a good enough army to just straight up win.
You know what? This is such a smart move out of Snute. I think he's recognized MaNa's not had like a lot of Templar for a while. Like, there's been the occasional storm here and there. So the idea of a Viper for Abducts, I think, is awesome. Even if it's going to get feedback, the Abduct will still go off. So you can grab the Mothership, right? Take it out of the equation. Or maybe Abduct into range to neural parasite it. Either way, just cut out the recalls that have been saving MaNa in all of these engagements.
Yeah, I actually thought about that the first time. I was like, I guess maybe he tried to get Mothership, but maybe missed. But oh, now he's going to go with the Abduct. There we go. Oh, nice target fire with the carriers, though. Stopped it from being assimilated forever.
I know what the Mothership sounds like, and the Mothership getting assimilated doesn't sound like the Mothership. These storms are too much, and Snute's just standing in a GG. Oh, a 30-minute game one. MaNa takes the first game in the semifinals. Now, I do want to do two things here real quick, guys. One is we're going to go to commercial break because that was such a long game. Secondly, if all of these games end up being really long, we will allow the other series to start before we get into it. But
Yeah.
really, good first game out of MaNa. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes. What weird color combination. I feel like
Blue and yellow?
I'm looking at like creepy crawlers from like the 90s or something with these sort of colors.
Really?
In the bottom right, we do have the blue Team Liquid player. He is currently down a game at the moment. It's Liquid Snutes.
In the bottom left is the yellow Protoss. He is Liquid MaNa.
So there's a game Zombie Rub has brought up on stream before that we got to play with Snute while we were at Ting, and it's the Red Flag game. And in this game, you get to try and basically sell this imaginary girl or guy that the person's supposed to date. And you can sometimes get blank cards. And I got a blank card, and when it was Snute's turn to pick, my card I had laid down was, this woman has a basement full of the secrets to beat Protoss. And after much debate, and there was a lot of debate about it, I ended up losing, and Snute didn't pick that card.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Snute, if you watch the VOD of this, down one game, maybe you should have picked that card.
I think my counter, because this is a game where you're supposed to really like argue with each other to make them pick yours or not other people's. Because mine wasn't even that good. I think I was vouching for CK Walsh actually. But yeah, I think my counter was that you don't know if they actually work though. Like they might have a ton of secrets to beat Protoss, but none of them were effective.
I wonder if
you guys should buy that.
Yeah, I wonder if Tabletop Simulator has like a version of that game.
Well, I don't know. Like Tabletop Simulator, all I need to do is, you know, actually have someone bother putting in the file, like the cards, like Photoshop. So.
Cause yo, that would be a really fun game to stream too. I think.
Yeah, streaming card games always gets a little bit complicated, but it is a really fun game, and I'm gonna go pick up the expansion before Austin. Cause what's really nice too is I've tried this with 3 different groups now, right? Like one, the StarCraft 2 crowd at an event, which is like a group entirely of itself. The other one was my family, and then the other one was like my small group of friends. My family, like my brother was very uncomfortable with it, and he literally said, "This is a game for girls," which I disagreed with. I thought the guys had a lot of fun with it too, right? But anyways, that wasn't too great. My close friends did not want to use the blank cards. We don't use them in Cards Against Humanity either because we just don't want to think of anything. So that's why they were out initially. But the StarCraft 2 crowd, yeah, they were like, give me the blank cards, I got this.
So here's an interesting topic of recent events. Someone's asking in the chat, do you guys have any info/intel about the so-called map hacking during the WCS qualifiers? There's about 1.5 million things to say about this, but let's go down to the basic one where I didn't fucking know that the qualifiers were happening until Nate had mentioned, oh, the qualifiers are on his stream while we were playing Battlegrounds last night. Like, I actually had no information about it whatsoever, so I didn't know that they were going on. And then we both kind of lamented, like, well, they didn't ask either of us to cast. Feels bad, man.
Well, Kalaris and Todd are casting it.
Yeah, but there's also the side streams.
Yeah, oh, that's right. There was like Wardy Take TV. Well, that was the thing too. Is like some of this discussion had to
Dragon?
do. Well, I was gonna say like continuing on with my list. I don't remember, but Pig is a part of this whole drama thing too, because he may or may not have had delay on his stream. But anyway, this is not a lane committal, so even if it broadcasts the Adepts, it would be a nuisance.
It's still gonna be good because of the Cyber Core. I don't think it'll stop warp gates.
Well, he's gonna chrono boost it. I don't think he thought it was gonna go down in time.
Uh-oh. It might actually stop
warp gate. Chrono boosting it is gonna screw it up.
Oh, the Oracle comes in though. Oh my god. Oh, and he chrono boosted too to be safe. Okay, no, to note, because this was a Stargate opener, losing warp is not the end of the world. If this was a Robo and you're relying on a warp prism, losing losing the warp gate, that kills your strategy entirely, right? But this is still for Snute incidentally worked against the Stargate because the Oracle did have to burn the energy here and didn't get it to go across the map. But to finish the point there, guys, here's the story of what happened. I don't have facts on who's right or wrong, but Avillo was playing a WCS match. The casters made the mistake of picking Avillo to stream. Probably thought, ha, this would be hilarious. Idiots. Amateurs. But what ended up happening was the player was known in the past, allegedly, for map hacking. Blizzard claims that there's no proof and blah blah blah, but you know, we've all been there before. We've seen what happens. And he was using another name for this tournament. So Avila ends up holding up the bracket. They end up disqualifying or banning Avila because of his language, or maybe because he's holding the bracket. I don't know the details of that. But the problem is, and the bigger problem that's hitting a lot of the other folks that you've probably seen voice this on Twitter, is that this alleged hacker, you know, he gets like $400 for placing wherever he does in the tournament, right? And there's two very hard sides to this coin. One, I'm very much on the side of like scorched earth. You're a hacker. Once a hacker, always a hacker. Get the fuck out, banned for life. But there is the other side of this where like maybe as a dumb kid you hacked. You've grown up a couple of years and you're trying to play legit now. You want to play the game for real. And should you lose out on that opportunity because of one stupid mistake you made when you were younger? Because allegedly this guy's like 13 type thing, right? So it's a really, I think, complicated debate, and I don't have enough information to really say much more than that. But those are what appear to be the general facts.
Well, yeah, I think what we know, although I don't know this either because I've only sort of been paying attention, is that the cheating was on ladder, like in Heart of the Swarm, and maybe because it being Legacy of the Void. But since then, hacks have been kind of disabled, like the map making or the hack making. Very important difference.
Yeah.
The hack making community has actually had a big tumble since Legacy of the Void. So.
Yeah, and that's why I say alleged here. Not because I think that the guy may or may not have had intentions to cheat, but there are actually I'm sure there's probably one or two hacks out there that maybe somebody's developed, but there's nothing that's really widely available. You can't just Google StarCraft 2 hacks anymore. Like you used to be able to do it for HOTS. You could actually just Google free like map hacks.
Yeah.
But they've reworked a lot of the framework and the security, and it's just until you show me proof that there's an open source free working hack, I don't believe you, because they have done such a good job of eradicating all that.
So, well, there's a lot of things going on. I didn't even know that Villa got banned for one thing or another. I had not heard that. I heard someone say that he should be, but I didn't even know about that update. Like seriously, there's a lot of things that make this the worst time to bring up hacking. It has to do with the people, and it has to do with the amount of attention that thing was already not getting and not constructed well. I
made jokes on Twitter, but at the end of the day, I think it's you know, Villa could be totally right, but because he's cried wolf a million times, nobody's gonna listen to him about it.
It's a whole slew of things, but it's like, yes, this is an important issue and all that, but also I would say more important is the thing we've known from, well, basically 4 days ago, and as you were talking about, you've only just learned of the damn NA qualifier thing happening. Yeah. So there's bigger, broader issues too. Yeah. But anyways,
it's a topic for another story another time, because we do have the push coming in out of MaNa. It's not a massive one, but it's cleaning up a lot of creep tumors very quickly. And with the Mothership Core here, hoping to recall, but that's a lot of Hydras looking to knock it down. Stops the recall. Big deny out of Snute. Huge surround on the Immortals, and this army crumbles before him. This was a huge catch for Snute, and he's going to counter and continue to push. He could very much win the game off this attack. Storm's not done yet. Charge isn't done yet. These Hydras have that extra little bit of health, and I think they're just going to be enough to at least knock down the third. Bailing's rolling too. Yeah, ripping pepperonis. Ripping proberonis.
Proberonis.
I'll have some provolone cheese on my pepperoni pizza.
Bit of a counterattack, though. This is not going to be that bad. All the billings have been used. Lings are going to have a tough time dealing with this in the mineral lines, but Snute has such a huge army supply.
Yeah, this is... It's an interesting trade. I think at the end of the day, Snute's army is better. Not just at stopping the Adepts and keeping us from getting too out of hand, but I think if this was a straight up base trade, like the Hydras, the Roaches, the Ravagers, they've just got more killing power than Adepts do. As we can see, he's starting to play out. Finally, Bailing's rolling too, so that's going to annihilate the last few Adepts, and Snute will now comfortably be able to go back to mining. The problem is, though, he wasn't able to push much further. There's a big, chunky wall, and he knew there was possibly storms behind it, so throwing away all the Hydras and Lings and whatever else is on the side of the map just would not have been worthwhile. Yeah.
I mean, at least it made it into a bit more of an interesting game, but without that third base, I don't think MaNa can feasibly do anything here. Well, the storms aren't bad, but he loses the sentries. And there's no charge off to follow up on that damage. So. Oh, trademark MaNa is going to fight to the end. Maybe amazing micro with it, too. I got this with 3 Immortals.
Yeah. GG. All right, Snute takes the game, and that's a nice tie-up to go 1-1 here in the series.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
This is a loser's pick, for those who don't know. So it is going to be MaNa's selection for map. Maybe he's got a Super Protoss one up his sleeve. I don't know. It is all the maps, though. I know we just came off of casting the Alima League yesterday where they only have 5 maps available. We do use all the maps from the ladder pool in the Corsair Cup.
Mm-hmm. Someone bothered looking it up, by the way. Red Flag is on Tabletop Simulator.
Nice. We definitely need to play sometime then.
I hope the expansion pack is too. I really want to know what's in it because it's like the X-rated one, right? Like it's got a theme going.
Like, I really didn't believe Zombie when she said there's like some stupid cards here, but there was, like, I think one of the cards we drew last night was, or on the first night was, our first round. Wow, I really can't speak. Was, their kisses taste like poop and love to kiss or something stupid like that, and I was like, nope. That's a nope. That's a deal breaker. Well, that's a nope.
There are there's like in Cards Against Humanity. There's also the A+ cards and the fail cards. Like the A+ cards, like all of the things that had to do with like Glenn Beck because they're always hilarious and like so like convoluted. And then for Red Flag, there's a couple of A cards and fail cards, which is like, I think the A card positive would probably be like their kisses cure cancer because like how are you supposed to say no to that? And then the really bad cards basically have to do anything with age. Like you would really hope that no one chose that. Because there's one where it's like they're 6 years old, there's one that says they're in 4th grade, and there's one that says they're 2 toddlers stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. Which is funny, but not right. So I don't know how you're supposed to twist those. I twisted the 4th grade one to say that they were just held back, but the other ones are hard to twist.
Even then, I feel like you're still pushing it, because then they're mentally still a 4-year-old. Like,
or they just couldn't pass their states and, capitals test. You don't know.
I don't think you could.
I couldn't. I failed that one.
Name 4 countries in Europe that aren't Europe.
That aren't Europe?
Norwegia.
Germany? Neverland. There's one, for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys, I will say real quick, I know addressing the topic was just asking for us to have this discussion in chat. I will say it's surprisingly been civil, a couple of timeouts, a couple of bans, but for the most part, we're just going to move past that for now. Maybe that's a topic worth having like a talk show for type thing, but not for the Corsair Cup. We are having a good time casting some StarCraft, and we just had a really interesting, very different Game 1 and Game 2 for one another. We'll see what Game 3 has in store. But once again, this tournament is sponsored by both Corsair as well as powered up here by Twitch. Twitch is what makes the monthly finals happen. Corsair is what makes the regular tournaments happen. And together they make one really, really awesome event. So if you want to support the Twitch side of things, subscribe to us. If you want to support the Corsair side of things, scroll down to the affiliate links down below. But getting into game number 3 in the top left, we have the yellow Team Liquid player, MaNa. Poland, that's another place in Europe.
In the bottom right is the red Zerg. He is Snute. I mean, we're missing all the obvious answers, so it's not like this is...
No, I mean, I can probably actually name some countries.
I could probably name 15. I got this.
All right, name 15 countries in Europe.
No.
The mistake was saying it on stream.
Yeah, right? Like, I could probably do that, in a corner, not on stream, with my friend, one.
Yeah, if we're just chilling, like, on a couch watching TV and you say that, I'll be like, sure, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Just move on, right?
Oh, God. I could probably easily get to, like, 6, but then, like, the other 9 are going to be like, ugh, no. I messed up. Anyway.
Well, the Cyber Core and the wall are going to be starting it for MaNa. I don't think he'll be feeling the stress of those Ling attacks this game. It is a little bit weird, though. It's a good thing he scouted the 3rd. I mean, this is not exactly the typical thing to do. And we've seen people like Nurchio, skip the natural base to play the pro, but usually it goes like here. I don't think this is always going to be the go-to, but what's for Snute?
I haven't seen this answer yet. That's the thing about the red flag game, is that again, playing with like so many different types of people, I did see very different responses to things that I didn't think were going to be useful. Like the best executive or best marketing executive in the world was a question mark card until we used it on Nathanius, in which case he saw the benefits immediately. And then there was like the year and year, they don't know the difference between the two, which some people would not care about, but Nathanius is like, nope, can't do that. Some guy just put in, I couldn't be with someone whose kisses cure cancer. I'm the jealous type. At least you're honest about it.
I thought I had the marketing person because of BaseTradeTV.
I couldn't remember if, like, I feel like you placed it to each other. Like, whoever was the single and who wasn't, it didn't matter.
I'm pretty sure Kathy played that one to me.
No, I'm pretty sure it was not Kathy. But I don't remember enough, so I don't think it actually matters.
No, it doesn't.
Maybe Nate was just, like, really, really, like, fawning over it.
All I know is that I won the man's heart with a battle cruiser, and that's that. Stargate coming up for the opener. Not bad, but I am more curious about the kind of fastly timed Twilight Council with it. MaNa has been relying a lot on Twilight Council tech for most of these games, and whether that's for things that lead forward, like DTs and Archons and all these other things, or whether it's just for like Blink and charge lots. I mean, actually, I think both games had charge lots in them.
The second game did?
I think so, but it was no, actually, because it was just the Immortal Century push. It was just, I think there was E-Zealot with it, but regardless, though, charge lots can be really devastating, and I think having seen Snute just go 4 Hydras, like obviously Adepts, Resonating Glaives, this is your opener, but charge lots are really good against those later on.
Yeah, I like charge lots. They're considered silly and unnecessary for some time with Resonating Glaives, which we do see on the way now, which is more likely to come out early game, but it might be useful. I'm actually thinking more to the TDP when I think about charge lots, though. They were very useful. Anyway, Resonating Glaive follow-up attack. I mean, this is something that you should expect seeing an Oracle opener. It's no longer the case of just like Oracle into 6 Phoenixes into third base, although that still can happen.
Whoa.
A lot more likely is going to be a follow-up Resonating Glaive Adepts.
So Snute just went for like a whole crap ton of drones, and that's kind of nice. And maybe this is specifically because he knows that it was a Stargate and there's not going to be a lot on the ground, but my concern for this is most of the times we see Snute lose games are games that he played a bit greedy. And I guess the Roaches are starting now, but I feel like the Adepts are going to come in here and get some very severe kills. There's just not a lot to catch them.
Well, we have about 12 Roaches on the way now, but yeah, you're right. Like, especially since it's only Roaches too, they might take a long time to clean up the Adepts, even if they're on top of them, which is a big problem. The Adept's going to shade to that natural. They do not get that many drones right off the bat, however. Only now even popping that kill counter. So as long as the drones are pulled, I suppose it's still okay damage.
But they keep getting pulled into trouble, I guess you could say. Income spikes like crazy, by the way, while we watch this happen. The Adepts do finally get cleaned up, but 15 drones dead. MaNa takes a nice lead, and that's not too bad for the start.
Yeah, that is definitely a dip right there.
What attempted a dick move, but the Spore Crawler saw that, so ultimately wasn't going to work.
It's funny, we talked specifically about Stasis Trap in the mineral line to Snute when you weren't there because you had gone to the airport, but when we went to like Vietnamese, and he said that it was so effective. He was like, "It's so good, like everyone should do it." It's not funny.
I guess it does cut out a significant amount of mining time. And drones tend to stack pretty notoriously later on too, right? As the mineral patches run out, so
yeah,
I can see that being viable. The Voider's a little bit odd, I guess, looking to chase off Overlords. There's no Overlords to chase off. Well, that aside for the moment. Speaking of mineral lines, have you played this week's co-op mutation yet?
Of course not.
So this is me trying it, and I actually, I don't know if it's just my partner or maybe it's me, but we didn't even make it past the first robot going out. Like, so
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, so it's on the Terrazine map with what's his face, and you have only 2 mutations. One is like got Widow Mines and Spider Mines all over the map. That's not such a big deal.
Oh, I think I did.
Except there's polarity, so you can't always attack them. So what ends up happening is like the bot spawns and it just walks into 4 Widow Mines and instantly dies.
Well, that is interesting.
Of course, I started playing Carrix after the first couple games because like, this is stupid. We don't have detection, right? But the can is down, but then the problem still comes with polarity. So like you can't shoot all
Yeah,
the
I
water
guess
mines. You can't
you have
shoot
to
all
pop
those.
them right before the robots go out. That kind of
It's a pretty rough one. So that's like I was thinking like
difficult.
I actually I got really mad about this, and I bring this up because of the mineral line thing. 3 widow mines spawned in the mineral line at the start of a game. So I just there's just literally no chance to do anything against that. It's like thanks a lot, co-op team. I like tough. I don't like stupid.
Interesting. Well, I was planning on doing it yesterday, but I was so tired. I just went to sleep instead after downloading Mass Effect.
Oh, I can't wait to play Mass Effect multiplayer with you, man. It was a lot of fun. This one
Yeah.
actually has rewards for the single player mission too, so it's not totally like a waste of time or anything like that.
It was never a waste of time. But
No,
the real
we-
question is just, does this Hail for have it, and is she gonna carry?
Is she cares? Yeah, exactly. She's probably got like all the ultra rare commanders already unlocked and like maxed out level, prestige 5 times over.
She's ready.
We're just bad at Mass Effect. I think Hail 4 is actually decent at Mass Effect. We're just bad at it. It's the difference.
We were questionably bad. I mean, but some of that had to do with the levels as well.
Yeah. Revelation continuing to just tag around. MaNa just slowly bulk up an arm behind this. Snoot's also getting crazy tech, by the way. He's on Hive, Greater Spire starting up. Bailing Speed finishing up. Adrenal Glands, no Parasite. Burrow, I feel like there's a song here waiting to go down, but at the end of the day, this is going to look a little bit similar to Game 1, and that's where I'm worried, because Snute didn't do so hot in Game 1. Although I guess this time at least he's not playing from super behind. I mean, like, that first game, the Archons were cool. They traded out really well for damage, as you would expect, but the DTs killing that third as early as they did, that was devastating.
Right, exactly. Like that first game, like it wasn't a stomp by MaNa, even though the end battle was a stomp. It was just like, it was maybe even more of a testament to how long Snute can hold on. Which might have to happen here again. I mean, he hasn't lost third base. I don't think he's gonna lose his fourth, although the drones. That was close. To get attacked. This actually might be something where if MaNa doesn't get anything, and it looks like he's gonna back off, he might be kind of, yeah, okay, he's got to get to a Stargate. I was gonna say he's gonna get screwed. He's one to get without Blink. So he's not gonna be able to deal with the initial Broodlords if they were to come out right now. And even with the Fleet Beacon on the way, these Broodlords are literally gonna be making, like, right now. Snute has 4 bases and minerals and gas.
That's feeling like a better Snute game for sure. He shut down that harassment pretty nicely. Even catches the Warp Prism down here to the south. I mean, transitioning into the Stargates and trying to get the Fleet Beacon for the potential Broodlords is one thing, but I don't think Snute has a chance to rely on Broodlords this game. Like a big part of this for me watching is like MaNa just doesn't have an army that's going to stop Lings from surrounding him, that's going to stop Ravagers from breaking in. He doesn't need to worry about the Broodlords.
Well, yeah, it's there's a whole slew of things here. You can see it's also upgrading them, like, you know, with purpose, already on to 3-2 for his Lings. Immediate cancel, at least that wasn't a kill. And MaNa does have enough minerals to transfer over into max charge lots, Stargate, you know, whatever he wants. But if Snute push right now with the Broodlords, I feel like MaNa would have a difficult time.
It's gonna be carriers right away, by the way. Graviton Catapult starting up.
He did transfer over to them eventually in the first game, and I guess he figured the Tempests weren't helpful enough, just might as well go straight to carriers.
Well, Don't Parasite will be an interesting influencing factor, whether that ends up being effective or not, because, I mean, obviously grabbing that mothership, stopping recall, stopping MaNa from retreating, as he did in that first game, none of that really mattered, because there was a lot of really good focus fire, and all the neural parasites were shut down, I'd say with relative ease.
Recalls. The Tempests are on the way, though. Okay, well, whatever. Benji's gonna go to carriers. 5 Tempests at a time is actually quite scary, and Snute does need to think about other things besides just brute forcing with his army as that time has passed. Broodlords will get probably even... How much does it take the one shot of Broodlord? The change happened so long ago, I don't remember.
Oh, like 5 shots or something. We just don't see that dynamic in them as much as we used to. It used to only be 3, of course, but I think it's up to 5 or 6 without upgrades.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. That sounds...
When we click on it and find out.
You just wait for them to one-shot something.
44 versus Massive. Broodlords have 225 health. Trying to pull up a calculator, but the Windows taskbar isn't working because Windows 10 is the best program in the world. Got to click 500 times to get the taskbar. Cool.
Windows 10's truly disappointing.
Yeah.
I actually had a
five
pop-up
and a
that said
bit.
like 5 and a bit.
5.1.
Okay,
so
five and
I'll
a
get one level of
couple
upgrades and you're good to go.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Well, anyway, forgot what I just brought up. Doesn't matter. The Windows 10 popped up and was like, how much would you be to recommend Windows 10 to a friend? And I was like, no.
I wouldn't mind any of the problems with Windows 10 if the taskbar would just work when you clicked on it.
It's for me, it's a lot of the inconsistencies. Like sometimes the taskbar will work perfectly and then it won't work. And sometimes it'll work if StarCraft 2 is up, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes the Battle.net launcher brings it up, and sometimes it won't. Like,
I think you just made up a thing at the end there.
oh, you.
I mean, the Blizzard launcher, right?
The Blizzard launcher. Go.
Okay, this is a little bit concerning. So Snoot's going towards Ultralisks. He's got Broodlords. The fact that he can go either way is always nice. But Immortals are just as good at killing Ultralisks as Tempest are at killing Broodlords, so it's going to be difficult.
Huh. That Infestor thought it was going to be sneaky. You get slapped in the face.
Yeah. That's
Well,
feedbacks would actually be really nice too. If you can see Snoot coming from far enough away thanks to that revelation.
yeah. I mean, this might be a game where, like, it's the first game. I kept talking about feedbacks, and they really weren't the best. Like, there were pairs that kept on happening, forcing recalls, and it was more just the fact they had an overwhelming army at the end that won the game more than, like, amazing feedbacks. But really, if the Zerg army is all, has detected with Revelation, then the feedback should be slapping down every attempt from the Infestors and the Vipers. It is once again a super long game. Not what I expected, and not just because, like, of the players, but really more of the matchup. The matchup has been a lot more, in my eyes anyway, like about either Protoss winning with Resident Enclave Adept or Zerg winning with, like, Roach Ravager all-ins. But if not that, then just a continued mid-game fight, like back and forth with Force Fields, Immortals, and Ravager, Hydra, Baneling. Like, these guys very quickly advanced to that late game.
I like the abduction of the Immortal. Don't know how necessary that was, but I was just going to mention there's oh, well. Bye. See you later, friend. Goodbye. That looks like a cannon that's flying into space, actually. I was just going to mention there's so many queens with transfuses. I'm really interested in this now because, yes, that's a lot of potential healing, but I still think the problem isn't that, like, oh, you need to keep that one Ultralisk alive forever. It's that you need the right type of units to respond to what MaNa's doing. And Snoot's kind of all over the place, still trying to figure that out. A lot of Spore Crawlers coming down. These can certainly trade out with the Interceptors, not to mention Queen's damage as well as the Corruptors.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that? We just got a new sub. Hey, thank you very much to Kinks Mitleid.
Excuse me?
It looks like it should be Kleenex or something. I don't know.
Kinks Mitleid. That is an interesting name.
Yeah, we had a Cold Res. Hell, we missed it an hour ago because of that first game. Hour ago, 4-month resub, and then Daffy as well for 13. He's just chanting Snute.
Is he still chanting? Because he must be out of breath by now. These have been some long games, and while this one's only 16 minutes, I fear it will go on much longer.
I'm kind of okay with this though because someone in chat brought this up a moment ago. They want to see what MaNa, like, I have no idea how MaNa's late game looks, and it's kind of feeling Korean tier. For me, I know that Snute and MaNa actually know each other's strategies really well, so I don't think we're gonna see like an atypical PvZ that we can necessarily reference and quote for like another game. Like if this was say Buell versus Zest, for example, right? Or Scarlet versus Stats, or any of the combinations, but. It is pretty unique to MaNa and Snute to get to these sort of weird rivalry late game positions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually,
Well, yeah, that's why I brought up earlier. It's like the matchup is more when I'm surprised that it gets the late game so quickly for these two guys. In terms of the players, okay, fine. Like, they know each other. Snute does get to the late game early, I suppose later.
Putting on 3 more Stargates, but I realize now he can afford this because he's on like 8k minerals, totally just over my head.
He's not been taking many engagements.
It's 7 Stargates.
And they both are starting to get a bit of a bank, and that's why it's going to go on for so long. I mean, considering how the first game went to the late game, with MaNa consistently trying to poke and see if he could end the game, and it still lasted 29 minutes, this game, he's not even, like, he's learned his lesson. He's not even going to try poking until he's absolutely prepared. But even then, he's probably going to lose a couple of the fights initially. Because, you know, unlike that first game where Snute was constantly on the ropes, didn't have his massive Spore Crawler defense or a lot of Corruptors, and still held on for 15 more minutes than he should have, like, this game, Snute does have everything ready to go, and it's going to come down, really, to, like, feedback, storms versus abducts and fungals and maybe nerf parasites. Trying to get rid of the army that no longer matters. Fortunately, Immortals, as good as they are in the mid-game, don't really help in the late game.
I would argue the same about Ravagers, but that Corrosive Bile can actually be really effective.
Yeah, hard to get rid of Corrosive Bile. I know a lot of Zergs will, and because they just die quickly enough, like they don't even get Corrosive Biles. But you know, that one chance the fungal is super good. I wonder. MaNa has now broken 10,000 minerals. I haven't seen this in a while. Even that Alive game on Proxima where he just turtled for a long period of time, I don't think they actually broke 10,000. Like, Legacy of the Void, it's so hard to get such a huge bank because there's not as many minerals. So your expansions should usually be slower.
Well,
and the trades, right? But they're not trading.
The minerals are kind of like lull. I'm actually really more interested in that 6k gas bank. Big recall comes in though, and is going to put an end to the probes. Or, sorry, the Ling attack.
Only because he didn't yet build up his cannon defense, because he has built cannons at every other bases, knowing how much of a headache the Ling run-bys were. And he certainly has the minerals to do it. I guess I missed that one too, which is why I recalled there. But this then is what I was looking at. Like, I saw 15 cannons go down, and I was like, he's learned his lesson.
By the way, thank you to Checkles Bartowski for the Twitch Prime sub. Does that, I'm going to assume that has some sort of reference to do with Chuck. I think his last name is Bartowski or something in the show. All I know is that it had like Jane from Firefly in it, so I watched it the first season and a half or so.
Who was Jane?
The kind of gruff guy with the guns.
Oh, it was a guy.
Did you not watch Firefly?
I did, but I was not committed to it. So I've already forgotten what the names are.
Killing me, Grub. All right, well, I was trying to figure out where that harassment was coming. My bad, guys. Sorry. But 10 probes go down is really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, especially when MaNa's still sitting at almost 70, but of course, more importantly, that bank. This is where it's interesting, though. Snute would have a very similar looking bank, in my opinion, if he didn't invest in so much static defense, but that static defense will probably pay for itself if he starts getting some of these abducts off. Some of them good abducts.
It's not just minerals invested, the lack of a bank, it's also that he never rebuilt his drones. Like, MaNa has been dominating the income advantage because he's kept above 60 probes on all these bases. Snute has not bothered, so that means he has more units to run around. He's not capped out and thus can't make 2 extra ultras, but it's like always a question of is it worth it? Because MaNa, I said he should be putting down cannons over here, never did. Thing is, with 15,000 minerals, he could have placed such a sim city of cannons that those ultras might not have been worth sending in there. That is a lot of cannons if you have that many minerals.
That's true.
But he didn't bother.
We've seen it with Neeb and others before, so it's not even a hypothetical, it's a certainty. But,
yeah.
Man, Snute's upgrades, pretty much 3-3 across the board.
It's gonna be a while before we see the engagement, I guess. Oh, well, unless Snute forces it.
He does have the option of possibly forcing it, right? Like, you know, parasites, fungal growth. He actually grabs one of the Templar.
I think it already feedback though, so it wasn't that great of a grab.
If he'd been able to feedback the mothership, that would have been real nice.
Yeah, or even just sentries, which I'm surprised that MaNa still has, but I'm guessing looking for 1 or 2 Guardian Shields.
I think a Guardian Shield or 2 is probably a very good idea against what he's coming up against. Especially when you see things like these Spore Crawlers and whatnot, but... Oh. Good Archon. The range on this, I kind of forgot. Like, no Parasite got neutered so hard for a whole expansion. Just kind of forgot about it.
Oh yeah, when it got buffed again, people were all hyped.
Yeah, they can certainly create some cool situations, but this is tough. The Corrupt is taking a lot of damage. That's where things like Voiders would be really nice too. If those come in a little bit too close, you pop that prismatic alignment and watch everything die.
I would say at this point in the game, it's more of MaNa missing out on crucial elements than Snute is. Like, Snute, he's got basically everything. Yeah, including upgrades. But MaNa doesn't have DTs or Void Raids. that's a little concerning. That could be... Well, the DTs could certainly mean that Snute doesn't have more bases, and while neither of them are really strapped for cash, Snute's more so that suddenly if 3 hatcheries went down and 15 drones, which is totally doable for late game DTs, he might be just like, wow, I really don't have an economy. Like, 15 drones puts him down to 24, because I can do math. That isn't much of a bank at all. As you try and remake the drones first, and then they attack in you can't remake the army. Snute is definitely the one I'm more concerned about in this game, not just because of Ball's DVP, but also just the best benefit of being a Zerg is remaxing, and his remax will not be very strong. And it'll be mostly mineral-based as well.
And mineral-based in this matchup, for either side of the equation, is not so good. I guess charge lots do have a little bit of merit. You get so many lanes, so you can surround even those.
Yeah. Thank you to Stuffy93. I love my 3 sub.
Nice.
I feel bad for Keen right on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, if this we'll probably let them start their series, guys, after we get out of this game. Like at least start game 1 type thing. I thought that Snute was honestly gonna have struggles with MaNa. I didn't realize that MaNa though was gonna play Stargates and more importantly, like late game Protoss through Stargates.
I thought they both might have trouble with each other. MaNa is still not at the point where he's consistently fantastic. So I was like, well, maybe he'll just get rolled, but that wasn't not the case. And then Snute has had trouble versus Protoss, so he also could have potentially gotten rolled, which is also
good
the case.
focus fire. Those Corruptors kill a lot of the Void Rays, and those are the only real big threat to him. So as he saunters on over to the army, like there's still a little bit more, but he's already traded very well.
Well, carriers by themselves can be dealt with very easily with Corruptors. Lings can even deal with Archons at this point in the game, I guess. There's enough of them. But all together, which is what we saw right there, the reason I stood like disengaged. Yeah, the Protoss army is so pretty scary. And now he's taking Void Rays. So that thing I was talking about that was missing.
Can we discuss someone screenshot this real quick? 8 Void Rays in the production tab in a professional StarCraft 2 game. And he still has like 7K, 11K in the bank.
Those 12 drones just went down to, I'm not even sure, maybe Zealots, I guess, on the bottom side or something. To the left. It's like probe sign. Oh, those are Zealots, yeah. Took a while. I think Zealots just killed the 12 drones, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, point is 12 drones, about what I said. Suddenly, Snute's at 26 drones. Like, that's not... He's not really going to get any more of a bank than he has. And he might even be better off putting all 25 drones into gases, because that's the bank that he's missing.
Gas?
I'm scared for him.
Yo, I did think gas would be the problem. I guess that's the cost of constantly making all these Corruptors.
Yeah, just not... Well, I think I also was content with a certain number of bases, but then there's that old, whole they run out of gas eventually aspect, so he might not have been taking as many new gases as he should have. I don't know, but it like either way, whether he didn't take into account the gas going away, or just didn't think he needed gas, or didn't realize he had low gas, this is certainly a problem Zerg's run into as the remax race, but also just coincidentally, I think Zerg's, are Zerg's getting to these positions, I suppose. Snute doesn't have this big bank, and it's like, this might totally be on purpose, because he wants to match the army supply, which at this point in time, MaNa has also gotten rid of his probes. But, you're supposed to get to a certain bank before you really feel comfortable going below a certain amount of workers, no matter what race you are. And I felt like Snute very quickly kept himself capped, as opposed to MaNa, who got to 12,000 minerals before letting his probes be, well, not sacrificed, really. They died in legitimate ways, like this counter run by right here. He still didn't bother remaking them, probably because he realized he didn't need them. And I wouldn't say that Snute just, doesn't know this, because obviously Snute played that Eve game. He knows, first minerals, then army, but he just might have never thought he had an opportunity to do so.
So that was really cool. I guess the assimilation on the mothership, I mean, this is already a very expensive unit to lose, right? But he immediately burns both time warps, so even if she was freed, she'd have no energy for that recall that has been screwing him over and over and over again. Oh, there might be fungals and spores down to the south. There's Lings and Ultras running from base to base and chopping up MaNa's potential income.
Those would have been good for the vials.
He tries to get some, but it's just not that many.
But they died. Oh, we got to Archons though. Seeing that they're all like clumped up together, and this is a PvP, and those, there's like 7 Archons underneath those carriers. They probably would have won, but it was 2 neuroparasited underneath, still kind of spread out carriers. They did not die.
Main base is compromised, but the funny thing, I don't know what he needs here really. Building infestation pit, the rotor and somewhere else perhaps. We got parasitic bomb hitting the carriers. It helps a little. It's not amazing, but it will clear out the carriers.
My bad. Preppers weren't good enough. Oh, the entire main base, all the tech is down. MaNa does deplete his bank to match Snute's, but that's because Snute hasn't used his bank yet. And now he can't, having lost all of his tech. He can build Banelings from Lings he already has. That's all he can build. And Vipers, actually, with the Hive.
This is going to make production look really silly for a bit, but Snute's down. Like, despite how many good attacks Snute took, he's still down in a weird way. The supply count's kind of all over the place.
I mean, it looked like he was taking on the army because, like, oh my god, the carrier's getting low, and oh my god, the mothership died, and, the other Archons died, but it was because MaNa was rebuilding from his 8 gateways back at home, and even bothering to rebuild Immortals as well. I don't know. Well, I guess because there's Ultras. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, so it really was not that great of a fight. It just... the army they had both had, I guess it was, but MaNa was the one that could always rebuild the other army. And even if Snute had all of his tech structures, even if he wasn't rebuilding them right now, his max out would look worse. He'd be going up with more Corruptors against Storms and Void Rays. And that doesn't work out.
It's just rolling my eyes. Of course, there was like 8 Void Rays in production earlier, so I can't believe that happened. I like this in chat, though. I want to address this as the fight possibly commences. Tampa Race is MacGyver. I'm here for professional StarCraft. Price pool next to relevant for me. And that's what I've always found interesting. I guess I'll finish that thought in a second, though. Archons are just going to blow this away. There's no chance. Even with the Transfuses trying to go into the Ultras, they just can't get there fast enough. And I think the carriers, much less the Void Rays, they're all just a little bit too much.
Yeah, they are. He doesn't have enough gas to even use the structures that is finished. No Infestors, only a couple of Corruptors. This is it, man. And it's not the last game. This is only game 3.
It will put Snute in his last life, though.
Yes, it will. And I just gotta think that Snute has gotta be deterred now. Second game where he's gone for Fast Hive. And though while this game he did get there a lot smoother than the first game, it doesn't work. I gotta figure the next 1 or 2 games he does not try going to a late game. Yeah. It's not quite working.
Well, anyways, going back to that point, GG. Going back to the question really quick, though, I think it's important to note, like, I always want to pay the players a fair price pool, right? Like, we want to make their time worthwhile for them, and they're not showing up for like $5. But at the same time, like, I do think it's funny watching all these other tournaments one-up each other in prize money, and I'm like, I don't really care about that. Like SOS getting, now granted this is within our community, but just generally speaking, SOS getting like $100,000 in IEM for me has always had more coverage than like $500,000 prize pools for other tournaments, right? Like other games even. But anyways, guys, we're gonna go to Proxima Station next, a small commercial break, and we'll be back soon.
Well then, you didn't hear any of that, so I don't know why that was muted, but it was. Oh well. Let me try and make sure this stuff isn't fiddled with. Desktop audio should also be on. I don't know why that was automatically muted, actually. I checked everything else, figuring this would be okay, but whatever. Yeah, I'll be solo casting the rest, and the other show series has been told to go already, so. Yes, also, for those of you who don't usually watch, I suppose, or watch all the time, always, occasionally I do have to stream, and unfortunately, as of a couple weeks ago, it seems like I will not be able to showcase the new subs and the new donations as, basically the way I used to do it was having 2 accounts running at the same time. Basically, one that was like Twitch alerts on my desktop and one that was online, and they would have both accounts, both mine and BaseTrade's, but now it defaults to just one. So there might be a fix later that we'll look into, but for right now, just that's why there's none of that appearing. So Oh well. I believe the game sounds need to be boosted. Let me do that in a second. First, to the intros to the top right. He's down 1 game on his last life. It is Liquid Snute. And in the bottom left, as the yellow Protoss, he is Liquid MaNa. Sound usually has to be boosted quite a bit. Should be good to go now. Oh, that is a very quick forge. I didn't actually think anything was gonna happen in this game, but I'm wrong about that. Okay, well then. That is a cannon rush. It looks like MaNa is also very just tired of dealing with late game PvZ, so this is gonna be very interesting. Yeah, now the hatchery sees that, and Sue's probably have to double take, be like, what the shit? Because you don't see this anymore. There's usually not an opportunity to do so. Even if there is, even if you think that they aren't paying attention like Snute wasn't, there's just so many drones you can pull that unless you really get a very good position and you really catch them off guard, it just usually isn't worth it. But as this is a decent position and it was truly caught off guard, he even made a zealot, he's getting back at home. Snute's gonna lose his base. So, oh boy. Now, the loss of a base does not equal the loss of a game. The fact that this is also denied, though, actually really hurts, and this third base is obviously blocked by rocks over here, so it's quite painful to take as really any base until it's, you know, it's the 4th or the 5th. The queens could try and save it with the lings, but the focus fire might just kill it anyways, so I'm not sure Snute should even try, and he's not going to. I think that's a smarter move. Cannon, Mothership Core Cannon could also have come into effect, so it would have been really bad to try and save that hatchery, so try and save what you can. Don't lose more than you have to. Lings just pull back and deal with the pylon at the very least, and Snute could try and play a macro game from here on out, but it would be hard. MaNa obviously went for a forge, so there's no Nexus. He even goes for a Stargate before Nexus too, so that is a delay on his economy as well, but it usually affects this area a little bit more. Cannons are always going to be here, too. I mean, with enough lings and queens, it will totally be something he can destroy. But it will be a committal, and there's the potential that he just never gets around to it, so warpins come into effect, and that would be a very brutal game. Void Ray is pumped out first from this Stargate, which the Overlord has not seen yet, and we'll see when the Void Ray kills it. A couple queens getting AI'd into it, looks like. Rocks are going to be broken down immediately, so at least Snute was on top of that. And he will now have a gold base, so while this is a very dangerous base to take, it is risk-reward, and right now the reward is working out. MaNa even goes for a second Stargate, is going to play this style, which means that the potential to kill a player with double Stargate straight up is very low, right? Like, especially if it's Phoenixes. But even if it's Void Rays, Void Rays take a long time to build. Unlike if it was like a Twilight Council tech, but okay, that Adept was not in position. So that's super awkward. The Void Rays are kind of slow, but there's not that many lings, so I don't think this will be a lot of damage. The Militia Core recalls herself from being over here. Maybe the cannons can be cleaned up now, and 1 or 2 probes will die for this. It might be worth saving the lings, yeah, just because this is like really the only form of detect or scouting and harassment Snute has, and he does not really want to make anymore. Since he has his 3 bases back up, it's really time to just drone hard, and he has droned successfully. Like, he's above workers, but he also has that gold. And while MaNa now has this moment too, where he also doesn't have to worry about being attacked, realizing that it's 3 bases, it is a question of like, well, who's gonna let each other get away with too much, basically? Like, is it gonna be the Protoss getting away with mass Void Rays, which, as far as I know, isn't as scary as it used to be, so I'm not even sure that's the case. Or will it be MaNa letting Snute get away with too much of an economy, and then he's gonna get busted by, you know, Roach Ravager or something like that. You should check the economy, and Snute did just, like, I mean, you can see the effects of, well, first of all, the early game, but also just the cannons taking care of that hatchery, and then once the drones started really pumping out in the gold base, that's when Snute just well, came back in the economy. Void Rays with Phoenixes can definitely take on those queens. And I don't believe Snute ever saw that it was 30. Oh no, there's Link's in there, that's right. I guess he just underestimated, as there aren't a lot of Spore Crawlers. Looking now, in fact, he just kind of skipped Spore Crawlers for a time. Motion Grew's gonna be focus fired, she does die. But there's more Phoenixes coming in here, and this might still be an okay trade for MaNa. Which is a really sad thing. Chance fuses are all being used, she's gonna have one in 6 seconds. Queens do take on Void Rays, don't get me wrong, but with the Phoenixes coming in, maybe there could have been enough pickups. One Void Ray is saved, the second one might live as well. Very nicely done by MaNa. Could have been, usually if you see a recall get denied, it's much worse for the Protoss, but that wasn't so bad. More Phoenixes still being produced, we have more gateways, still no +1. A lot of time in Heart of the Swarm was Liberty when you saw Forge firsts, which was a lot of games. Oh, no, that Void Ray. No. You saw +1 accompanied with it just because you already had the Forge, and it create really good timing attacks and also just get you really good upgrades even if you didn't go for like a follow-up attack. But in this game, you can see that the idea was, since MaNa saved this pylon, was to warp in a lot of Zealots. And they aren't charge lots, and again, they don't have that +1, which I think would have been worthwhile to invest into if you wanted to all in. They are still a lot that Snute didn't expect to happen so quickly. But with Hydras on the way out, I think this might just be a waste for MaNa's minerals. Drones are tempted to be focus fired, I believe. No, I think they're just a MaNa fire. Well, either way, focus fired or not, 9-11 drones go down. Snute probably should have just pulled here. I guess he thought the Lings would take care of this faster than they did. A little bit awkward, but 57 drones, still very strong, with one of these being a gold base. And yet another hatchery being taken. Hydras, that's the word. Hydras taking on Phoenixes. That's not what MaNa wanted to have happen. Ideally, none of your Phoenixes ever die. They only get low, and you pick off Hydras one at a time. But Overlord's gonna die. Oh yeah, this base being taken is probably gonna be quite safe. Again, by MaNa just going in general for Stargate play. Sure, there was that cute little Zealot warp in that took a while and did some damage. There's not really killing power with MaNa's army, and he just taps out, realizing that it's not going to be able to win the game. Not the coolest tap out we've ever seen, but oh well. I've been looking in chat to see notes on the audio levels, and I haven't seen anyone complaining. But let me know. The last map is going to be Palladino. This is the last map guaranteed. It's currently tied up 2-2. And the winner of this will go on to the finals to face the winner of Keen Showtime. Keen Showtime, it did start probably a couple minutes ago. At least I'm hoping they did. They did. Yeah. But we need to fix the Twitch alerts, but to be honest, I'm really not sure how. I don't know how Rifkin has it set up. I could like move it. Looks like something like this. I'm trying to crop the name if you're confused about what's going on, but it's very difficult to do when it doesn't appear all the time. So, the beeps have started. It can take a little bit to get into the game, as I realize I should be in dashboard right now. Gotta get ready to play those ads. Herd. And these Twitch alerts are also gonna be so tiny. Cool enough. Alright, I got dashboard up now. And we are ready to go. It is game number 5 in this best of 5. In the top left on Paladin Terminal, he is the yellow Protoss. It's Liquid MaNa. In the bottom right is the red Zerg. He is Liquid Snute. Sound is good. That is good. Thank you, guys. So Rifkin just felt pretty bad, so he's gonna nap, rest up, and I'm gonna guess it's because of our really turbulent schedule lately. Of course, we've been traveling, we've been casting live, and then he had to do the Elite League Finals solo as I was traveling that day as well. And the cast went on for a very long time, so he's probably still feeling the effects of all that. And I don't mind solo casting, and in fact, it evens us up, I guess. Oh, there's that other time that I think I covered a Corsair Cup, but I'm not gonna keep score because it's kind of petty. I'm perfectly capable of solo casting. I'm a big girl. I do the things. The probe gets in here to scout, is of course worried in the last game that Snute could early pool, but really Snute isn't gonna be that guy usually. And unfortunately, I might add, it seems to be that when he does decide to be that, you know, that guy, the trickster guy, the bly, whatever you want to say, it does seem that he doesn't work out. So I would guess he doesn't think it's worth it. That was a raid, bit boss sound. So Mega Dog with 101 bits. I'm the captain now. So I might be able to add it here. I didn't see how Rifkin had it set up. Really? Oh, oh no, you see the secrets. No secrets. And there's something else going on up here, I guess, so why not? Alright. That's the new boss. Is that working though correctly? I don't know. I haven't experimented with this yet, to be honest. I've been traveling so much and been out of the loop for the last week of Twitch stuff. I don't know how it works. So obviously the new health bar is there, so that worked, but it was Mega Dog that ended up winning, so shouldn't he be the boss now? Well, anyway. Stargate is on the way as they both have determined that they are not cheesing each other out. No need to panic, just do your regular build. Twilight Council follows it up, and this is what we saw roughly from the Abyssal Reef game. And that game, as we recall, went on for a very, very long time, so it almost feels pointless to talk about these early games with these guys, but it's not entirely true. His last game was such a weird, wonky, you know, cannon rush. Like, I mean, there's so many times I have to cast a cannon rush nowadays, and while it was effective in that 2 cannons managed to kill a hatchery, you could see why it's not done as much, because even though that was quote-unquote effective, it didn't actually matter in the long term. There wasn't a good enough follow-up. But these Lings, the speed kicks in and they do take out that Adept, blocked off by pylons. Letting them in would have been too annoying, especially since so far MaNa's been able to be unscouted. Yeah, unscouted. So it's decent. Decent use of minerals, cancels the pylons. Pursuit, that would have been good scouting and some good harassment, but he wasn't depending on those to get in. I think he's just guessing it's going to be a Stargate, so there are the Spore Crawlers. To be honest, if you're a Zerg player and you don't know what your opponent is doing in ZVP, your best bet, your wisest best bet anyways, is on a Spore Crawler. That'll help you against the DT rushes and the Stargates. And isn't too much of a committal of minerals. Like, it is 3 drones, so it's 100 minerals plus lack of drones, mining, plus 3 times 75. Like, I mean, it is something, but it's also going to make sure that an Oracle doesn't kill 10 workers, so it's a chance, it's a bet. And it worked out quite well. Robo's now on the way for MaNa. Snoot's getting his evolution chamber and his lair. He got a Roachborn, like, I would say pretty early, and, you know, hasn't used it, but it is better to have it, not use it. And you get a Hello Zergling for the 30 months of BaseTradeTV. Pylon's covering all the common locations of drops, which isn't a bad idea. Snute is not going for any drops, but this could be a tricky place to unload like 20, 30 lings. Nexus gonna be put down, barely saves that probe. We have Adepts with an Oracle going across the map. Only one Oracle, and this is not that killing potential that's 2 Oracles and like 2 more Adepts could be. So in fact, with Snute finding the army with his roaches, MaNa might think about not committing. It's kind of a trick though, isn't it? Because the roaches are out of position, so it's like, eh. Oh, loses the Oracle to the Queens. That was supposed to happen. I guess that one on the south side was unexpected for MaNa. And it wasn't just roaches. Lings were also prepared already, and that means that the Adepts really aren't too effective. If they can get 9 drones, that might make it like... Well, it's still not even effective because the Oracle died too. Oh, a couple Adepts in here too. With the Oracle dying and so many Adepts being utilized, I would say you have to get like 15, really. Because it also wasn't too much time having to clean that up. Like, that was cleaned up pretty quickly. And now Snute has an army on a very small map that's going to try and stop MaNa's 3rd base. So that was not effective enough. Probe's going to get transferred at the exact wrong time. Oh, dear lord. Snute has prime position right here to actually end the game. Stalker goes down. Adepts aren't really in between anything. They try to get in between the pylon, but that went down. It looks like without more Ravagers or Roaches and the Roaches still being slow, the Adepts end up being enough, but that was a little bit scary. Again, if this, like, Roach speed was done, if Ravagers were already on the way, sure, the Lings might have to back off for a second, but he could have actually started pressuring the front of the base of the Ravagers, or even the 3rd base with the Corsair Biles. Not his plan, though. His plan is actually less about Roaches and more about Hydras, so not surprised to see no Ravagers quite made. I think it is what makes these earlier Roaches a bit more useful, though. And that, like, yeah, before Ravagers were a thing, so the past 2 expansions, if you weren't going to go Roaches, but you felt like you needed to be safe, so you added on Roaches, later on, they just felt very, very useless. Like, I have 9 Roaches in my Ling army. That's not helpful. But Ravagers are almost always useful. Breaking down force fields, getting pot shots on pylons. They're a little weak, sure, but I think they're helpful. That was a very good split. That was actually like taking the tablecloth underneath all the dishes and stuff. That was actually pretty. A lot of Adepts, but now I have Immortals on the way. We also have a Dark Shrine, so I do think MaNa is a bit still on the ropes, just in terms of, like, he could have felt too pressured. So adding in those DTs in case he needed the Hail Mary, please get off my back, is a good move. But with a lot of Adepts and a Guardian Shield and a Warp Prism, not even really about the Immortals, Ravager Hydra does not look that powerful. The Adepts get on top of the Hydras, and while, yeah, the Hydra buff did end up affecting this engagement a lot, and that's important to note. I think Hydras do take one more shot now. They still died to a lot of Adepts. So this is where Snute would have really wanted to have either Roaches buffering, never let the Adepts get on top of the Hydras, or Banelings, so that the Adepts do get on top of your army. Well, that's their fault and their death. It looks like MaNa's too stupid by the numbers. Snute is up about 20 army supply, which puts him in a decent position. 4th base on the way. That's where that Warp Prism with DT should go eventually, but right now it has Adepts going to the main base. Thank you for the other bits. That creates a new boss. I guess what happened is maybe I missed bits beforehand. I put in 99 days, put in 1. Oh, okay, that's what happened. They get Aquanuts for 30-month resub. What did he say? I rocked the body. Okay. Well, upgrades are finishing up. Banelings are going to be available. And we have a Hive on the way. Adepts find this 4th base, which again, the DTs could go into. I still think he has it. Yeah, he has it. Shouldn't make any. Okay, cool. Not a lot of upgrades, though, for MaNa. He got such a quick forage last game and didn't utilize it. Now he just feels like he doesn't have to have it here. Nah, I'm just playing. I do think it's something that he needs, however. Like, There's certainly a point to be said about skipping upgrades to get to X or Y faster or more of them. But I think at this point in time, he just straight up missing upgrades and should have them. Last minute attempt to split, still loses a handful of units. Not too bad though. But yeah, no +1, no, you know, armor or attack is a little frightening. It's going against Snute's 2-1, so... that is a lot of DTs, and Snute does not know about them. So while he has detection still from the early game Spore Crawlers, he does not have an army to protect the drones. Vipers pop out. They can't help very much against the DTs. Army is just scared away, but it's kind of false though. This is the real attack over here. It's only Lings, and if there was a bit more SimCity or just a couple of Adepts like being warped in right here, they will not do a lot of damage. Or these are Zealots actually. So 4 probes go down, and it's otherwise just sent back home. Hallucinated Phoenixes want to get into that main base, but they stall out. Well, the DT's getting there anyways. So they see the Hive, they see the Greater Spire. There's a really cool voice I just heard. Overseer is now being made. Transfuse is going into the Hive. Absolutely necessary. I think you don't want to restart this from 0. Even though he already has Vipers, and he has the Greater Spire started. You still, it's a big, costly investment. So he saves it. He cleans the DTs. The DTs weren't exactly super effective. They did kill 10 drones. This 4th base now goes down because the army was entirely out of position. And this army over here could have gotten the 3rd base, but then they would have been trapped. So now in trying to take on the army, it's all types of clumped up, but luckily the disruptors were... Well, actually, one got a shot. I think the other one might not have. The army was actually so piled onto each other, it was hard to tell. Vipers could have stopped them, but the abducts were a little bit too late. Zealots get into that 3rd base, and while things looked up for Snute when it came to having the Adepts being pushed back, things are now looking a bit down. He has still a 20 army supply lead, and the Vipers have not shown their true strength, but he is losing out on so much economy. Vipers are actually useless now. They don't have enough energy. Hydras are getting run into force field. Some come from the north as well, but then charge lots warped in could take care of them. Here comes the warp prism. That's maybe too many Hydras, however, so he's got to retreat, but that 3rd base still... It died. The drones died. Gas are even going to die. That brings Snute back down to basically 1 base, and that almost died as well, and now at half health. Main base is mined out. Natural is mined out. Almost. He can't really afford to get to Broodlords. MaNa did end up overcommitting just the tiniest little bit, as he is also not exactly swimming in minerals. But he has his 3rd base, he has 55 probes, and he does have reinforcing disruptors, rather, that can buy more time and hopefully get those amazing hits. He's now down 40 or 50 army supply, and this is Snute's chance to win the game, with MaNa just really relying on Disruptor Blink Stalker. Those disruptors do not hit, those Blink Stalkers do not survive. Okay, they're just going to be dead, there's too many Hydras, and they're going to have +3. They're going to be at 3-1 to MaNa's absolutely 0. Absolutely 0. Like, these Blink Stalkers might as well be nothing. They were already questionable if they had +3 even. That was still questionable. So, Vipers, yeah, should not die to the Voider. I was gonna say they should. Oh my god, that one disruptor shot once again. One of them getting off is huge. That was like, god, that must have been like 10 Hydra or some shit. But they're pulled over this ledge. That ended up working out really well, and MaNa is on the ropes. His 4th base obviously killed. He's only on 1 base mining now as well. Snute has transferred 30 drones basically to his 3rd base. 1 DT is going to pull the army back, try and cause a lot of havoc. This is important time buying for MaNa, but I fear that after losing the 4th base and losing his disruptors, he won't be able to remake enough of a good army. If he has 3 disruptors and he's adding on crucial charge lot counts and Archon counts and maybe even a couple more disruptors, his army's still in it. But his army right now is actually really poor. It's actually super bad, and while Protoss armies are all about, you know, quality over quantity, that only holds true so far as the upgrades are at least decent, and they're not this game. They're in fact super bad. 3-1 Hydras against 0-0 everything. That I don't think I've ever seen a game go like this. And I want to say MaNa just forgot to upgrade. There was certainly 1 or 2 points where he had that time, where instead of like 1 more disruptor, he could have gotten 1 forge. So, I mean, he's probably realized it by now, right? But now it's way too late. Guardian Shield can help. The Vipers feel a little bit useless just because they aren't really needed. Like, they could have tried abducting something or blinding cloud something, but they're not They don't have to. The Hydra's taking everything on. Anything tries to retreat, I guess that's when they could abduct. DTs, maybe he kills the Overseers. I think Snute's got this. He has no gas. He cannot make many more Hydras, but his Lings even have upgrades, so 1-1. So those reinforcing would be enough. Snute has won this game. He has won the best of 5. MaNa is running out of abilities here. Soccer's don't even bother blinking. And that is it. GG. Very, very, very long best of 5. With Snute ended up taking the lead. Eventually. Now he will go on to face the winner of Key and Showtime, which is currently happening. It looks like Showtime is at least up 1-0, but I believe they are into their second game. Oh, no, they're not. Okay. What game is it? They're out of game, but I don't know what the score is or what's happening right now. So I'm going to take a quick 2-minute commercial break. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll get into the game as soon as possible.